So now you know a lot more about your knees and your hips and the things that are important for you in terms of exercise and your body mechanics health. So with that, I'm going to turn it straight over to questions for you guys today. So anybody who has a question, please go down to reactions in the bottom of the screen there. And where you see that emoticon with the plus sign, you can click on that reaction tab. And then the first item on that will be raise hand. And you just click raise hand, and then I'll know that you have a question. And if you aren't sure where that's at, or if you have any other questions that you're struggling with the camera or anything like that, you can always just post in the chat and Patricia can help you.
We have a chat question.
Yeah. So Nancy asks, how much can scar tissue affect mobility? Fibrotic tissue or scar tissue can affect mobility quite a bit. It's not nearly as elastic, and it doesn't have the same cellular structuring as connective tissue does, regular healthy connective tissue. So it can absolutely restrict the area. But over time, in stretching the tissue and rolling the tissue and things like massage and other things can definitely help alleviate that area and make the tissue more mobile and return it to a more natural, healthy state. It is possible. And Nancy, I see you have your hand raised. I'll let you start.
Hi. So I have an issue where
your microphone is off.
No, it's not.
It's on.
Sorry. Nope. Hold on one second. It's not. I need to adjust my audio here. Okay, I'm with you. I apologize. Okay. Go ahead.
Okay, so I have a question. About maybe 6 or 9 months ago, I started walking again after a while of not walking, and noticed that I have pain in my pelvis somewhere, kind of behind my pubic bone. And it's only activated when I walk or jog a little bit. Pretty easy walking, pretty easy jogging. I don't know if I strained something. I actually stopped entirely then for a while and it went away. And then I started walking lightly again, very easily, and it started up again. Sometimes it's almost disabling where I'm doubled over because it hurts so much. Sometimes it's just an irritation. So I don't know whether to keep working through it or totally rest it, which seems counterproductive. And so I'm curious what you think about that.
Yeah, if the activity you're doing, in this case, walking or, longer range walking, is aggravating the area, I would definitely back off, especially if you have inflammation, because if you keep inflaming the tissues, of course, that's not going to end well. So, what should you do about it? And oftentimes the best thing to start, which is why I chose to do a sideline glute medius exercise, the one where we lift the hip, for example, that's a good exercise for you to do, and start with a very low intensity exercise plan, doing mobility exercises, looking exactly like we did today, looking at your ranges of motion. One of the best things for you to do is really to measure what your actual range of motion is, to know in degrees. We help clients do that themselves. We give them the measurement device, and just like this on a screen in a much more private session, we teach you how to measure all of your ranges of motion. And the reason why that's important is because your issues in your sacroiliac area, so where your sacrum and bottom of your spine attaches to your pelvis, those tissues from not having exercise for sustained period of time probably just is not used to stress and load. So doing some floor exercises, doing some hip bridging, putting load and stress on the tissue can start to get them adapted to where they don't break down or get inflammatory signaling as easily. Because that's really what's happening is we all have a biological tipping point. In other words, a point of breakdown for different things. And so for one person that might be the type of shoulder pressing or how much chest pressing they're doing, or, you know, for another person that might be walking, for example, your case where you're feeling pain in the tailbone. So we have to do two things. The first most important thing is finding out where is your mechanical deficiency that's causing overuse, right? Because you've all heard overuse, or, oh, is an overuse injury, or overtrain the body or something like that. Well, the thing is often the first problem is mechanical deficiency, or in other words, a range of motion that's deficient, a weakness in a tissue that's causing other tissues to work, putting the joint in a position because of those aforementioned reasons that are causing the joint to have stress. And then we do a physical activity with the misalignment so that it becomes so much easier to overuse. So, you know, the word overuse is really an overused term, because it's really the mechanical deficiencies that then causing the overuse to happen easier. So we need to look at your mechanics and see where you have those deficiencies. I shared a lot of things today, but sometimes we do need to go deeper and really be specific and give you the measurement device and, you know, let you go through those to really find the issue. But one immediate thing that can help you is just back off from the volume of activity you're doing and try to do it in a smaller dosage. So instead of walking 3 miles, walk 1. Instead of walking 1 mile, walk a quarter mile, you know, whatever it might be, so that you're not only being sedentary. So I would use a fraction of the physical activity you're doing before. And also you need to take a closer look at your mechanics, which is, I'm teaching in the full body fix and we're going really deep in this stuff, but there's a whole other several layers of looking at that as well. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And yeah, if you want to talk to me further, please, you're more than welcome to sign up for the semi-private session, and we can talk about that further, and I can help you specifically on what we would do to find those deficiencies and guide you through that process. Yeah. And Darren, you're up, buddy.
Can you hear me?
I can. Yep, I can hear you.
I struggled with the first part, probably. To get my knees over my ankles when I'm standing with my feet sort of pointing forward, I feel like to get my knees over my ankle, I'm standing on the outside of my feet. I feel like when I put my feet flat on the floor, I feel like my knees are actually coming in. And I feel like they're actually inside my feet. I just struggle. When I notice when I stand with my feet are pointing sort of diagonally outwards, and I walk on the outsides of my feet. All my shoes are worn right on the heel, on the outside of my heels. But when I try and, because I'm trying to stabilize my feet, when I put my feet flat on the floor, my knees seem to come in. I feel like I'm a bit knock-kneed.
Interesting.
So I'm sort of struggling to do the, you know, just the normal sort of like squatting. When I squat, normally when I squat, my feet are quite wide to feel like my knees are in the right place. When I actually bring my feet facing forward, just straight, it brings my knees in. I feel like my knees are not in the right place to squat. I don't know if that's right or what, it's just my imagination, but it feels like they're right inside my feet rather than over my ankle. To get them over my ankle, I have to go out onto the outsides of my feet.
So you may be a rare case that I would actually tell you to turn your toes out when you squat. Before I give you that advice though, because my go-to for most people is to have your feet parallel with squatting, but there are some people that have some bone changes, which you may be one of those, that it actually makes more sense for you to squat with your toes pointing out. Do you have your camera in a situation where you could show me what you're talking about? If you don't, that's okay.
I don't know, I might be able to. Hold on. I don't know if you'll be able to see. Let me just when I'm sort of like that's my feet standing flat on the floor.
And can you bring the camera down a little bit?
Right, hold on.
Okay.
I feel like that's my feet flat on the floor. If I want to get my knees right, I feel like I should be in the right position. I feel like there.
So go.
If I put them flat and forward, I feel like I'm like that.
Yeah, especially your right knee. Your right knee have more what's called femoral internal rotation. So your femur's wanting to rotate inside. How'd you do on the test where we tested your hip flexion mobility? Bring your leg back towards your torso.
Poorly, very poorly.
Yeah. So one of the big things, do you ever have knee pain?
Only on my left. I don't know if I did break my tibia and fibia, and I had real problems with it. I was on traction for about 3.5 weeks because they couldn't get it back to where they wanted it. And that was when I was really young as well, which I think it took me a long time to get back. I was on crutches for a long time, and actually coming out of the plaster and getting back to full thing was nearly a year.
Let's try a few more squats if you're okay with it. I'd like to help you a little further with that.
Okay.
Yeah. So go back into squat. Yeah. So by the way, with your being deficient in the hamstring range of motion, so the knee straight and bringing the leg back towards your torso, that test that we did today. So based on your knee, your right knee especially is rolling in. It's what's called femoral internal rotation. So your hamstring muscles on the inside of your thigh that attach around towards the middle of the knee, that area is tighter on you because of the tissue or the bone, it doesn't matter, but you need to mobilize that. So one area that will really help you, or exercise that will really help you, is that ipsilateral hip stretch, where the leg falls out to the same side and then you kind of stretch that tissue, because it attaches to the tendon on the lower leg, and it's rotating your whole knee inside. So definitely just remember that you should be working on that stretch. Okay, let's do the squat, and let me see. Bring the camera down.
Come down a bit.
Yeah. Bring the camera down a little further. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, it'll help me if you hike your pants up just enough so I can see your knees. Yeah, and then face directly towards the camera, if you would.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. There you go. Okay. All right. Go ahead and start to squat.
I don't to squat my feet forward or out.
Yeah, maybe bring your camera down further, because I need to see your feet. I need to see what you're doing with your feet. Yeah. Really, all I need to see is your hips and to feet. Okay. Yep. Okay. Go ahead and start squatting.
I was going to normally squat. I would squat like this.
Yeah.
That would how I would feel. It was be comfortable to get over my ankles.
Yeah.
If I did that and squatted, I feel like I'm. Okay,
stop. Pull your right knee out and keep your, and you kept your foot. No, that's good. No, put the inside.
Feels like I'm gaining my weight.
It's okay. In the back of you are. Your motor control is just a little off. Keep your knee there and put your inside your foot down. Yeah. There you go.
So that's it there.
Yeah, it's just a matter of motor control. Here's what's been happening. Every time you go to use your hip, your foot goes along for the ride.
Okay.
And you're not able, until this moment, you weren't disassociating outer hip motion from foot rotation. You're saying hip move, foot move. Like they just go together, but they don't. To a degree, if you bring your hip obviously really far out, your foot's going to rotate out too if you go to an extreme. But you have several degrees there to get your foot flat. Use the hip to pull the knee out and align, because the problem with, and I wasn't sure if you had some major bone morphology or change in the bone structure and such that would really make sense for you to have your feet out. It's better that you don't have your feet out. And I'm glad that we just found that you can keep your feet parallel, because that allows aligned stress to go up through the pelvis. So I know that you have a history of back pain. So when you squat with one foot out and with feet out, it's hard to say like, well, is this one 25 degrees and is this one 15? Like, where are they at, right? But when you go parallel, you can so much easier see if your feet are parallel than if one's out and one's a little out. And why does it matter? It's because this foot out makes the hip out too. The hip is rotating, the hip's attached to the pelvis, and now your pelvis is being twisted, and now your spine is getting excess stress. So then you're, you know, part of my French, all of my wonderful participants, but then your back gets pissed off because you're being torqued in this position while you're doing squats. And then you get back pain, and your muscles guard. Muscles do two things: they lengthen and they shorten. So when they feel unstable, it's going to shorten. So your back muscles start to shorten because, man, I feel unstable. And so, you know, we've talked about in the past the overhead exercise and all the stuff that you're doing, which is, you know, let's exercise, yes, but because of the misalignments starting from the feet and the hips, it's torquing your back. So if you're doing squat, it's misaligning your pelvis and your back. And if you're doing pressing overhead, it's misaligning your pelvis with even more leverage from pressing overhead. So that was a big breakthrough for us to see your feet and your hip in alignment, because you absolutely can get the knee in a line. You can have the foot flat. It's just going to create some disassociation of those movements.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome, sir. You're very
Got some
welcome.
work ahead of us.
Yeah. I'm sorry, what did you say?
Got some work ahead of us.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited.
Yeah,
And Darren's a VIP, so he's going to have this treatment on a daily, weekly basis. So yeah, we're going to get you super optimized, my friend.
thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Okay. thank you.
Lindsay, yeah, you're very welcome, my friend. And Lindsay Ann Tanner, you're up. Lindsay, you have your hand raised.
Yes, yeah, I do.
Yeah. Awesome. Can you turn your camera on? If you can't, that's okay. Oh,
Yeah.
there you go.
I'm here. Right. My question is, I've been diagnosed with hypermobility,
Okay. Yeah.
which means I can get into all the positions with you with no bother. If I go out jogging, my hips dislocate. So I have to bang them back in. Doesn't hurt, but it's just a nuisance. I find it difficult riding a bike. Again, the same thing happens. So it seems so it's not so much flexibility. I need stability.
Right. Yes. No, so first of all, I would just make sure that, you know, across all ranges of motion, before we kind of like really discontinue mobility training, that you are in fact hypermobile throughout like all of the ranges of motion. Because if there's one or two that are deficient, but others that are hypermobile, that's really setting you up to have an asymmetry or misalignment, right? Because, you know, if we think about it, obviously we have 8 tissues that are super mobile, they're super hypermobile, and 2 that are tight. Those 2 are going to add even more impact to creating a misalignment. So that's my first thought in terms of mobility first for you. Okay, so we need to figure that out. Second, yes, you're correct. We need to focus for you much more on strength training, and to get you endurance work, you would do is strength training type of exercise, squats and lunges and, you know, this type of things. And then you would be able to, and you do it with a higher repetition and short rest, instead of doing aerobic exercise such as running, for example, or walking, if that's bothering you. So you could also do shorter ranges of motion. You could do an exercise like where you're on an elliptical, where you're staying in contact with the platform. Those are all be really good options for you. So yes, strength training is really where it's at for you, but let's also see if you have mobility deficiencies everywhere, right? Or sorry, mobility super efficiencies everywhere.
Yeah, because so far with your tests, I've had super ability
on all.
Because I mean, I can get into a lotus, no problem. I can touch my hands to the floor without warm up. So my hip, I could do all your hip thing, and just I didn't have to use a belt or anything. I could get there without. So, but that's the issue, that it's normal, what I call motion. They can be problematic.
Yeah. So yeah,
I mean, if I rest on one foot and push out my hip, I can dislocate it, but it's not a problem. It just will go far out of the from the socket.
wow.
But I don't want that to keep happening when I'm trying to do other things.
Right, of course, of course. Have you had other tissue problems or issues in the past, like torn tissues and this type of thing?
Yes.
Have
The
Have
hamstring.
Have you ever had a doctor analyze you for Ehlers-Danlos?
No. I was just told I have this hypermobility.
Mhm.
And I mean, I've always, I'm 70 now, but I could get my foot up over and touch the wall easily, no problem. So, but I've always known that that's been quite good as a dancer, but
Right.
I find that it still has left me with that instability of some of the joints.
Yeah. So strength training is definitely where it's at for you, and having great alignment during strength training because of the hypermobility, you're going to go into misalignments even easier. So yeah, you like going through our biomechanical optimization plan and the sessions we're doing and actually taking exactly what we're teaching, the full body fix, and really driving those patterns of alignment. That's going to help you a lot. Another thing that can help you a lot is actually training in the end range of motion and doing strength training at the end range of motion. But you have to really be careful and know what you're doing with that, because if you strength train at the end range of motion for you, then what's going to happen is you're going to get stronger at the end range also, and it's going to protect you from having injury at that end range of motion. So it's really, because of your condition, there's a multifaceted approach. Is there any deficiencies whatsoever? If they are, we should be mobilizing those areas. Strength wise, yes, strength training is where it's at, specifically in the shorter and mid range. That's really the solution for you.
Right.
For sure. Yeah.
So I could do more squats and things like that.
Yeah. Yep. More squat. I mean, and there's all kinds of, you don't have to be stuck with just doing squats and lunges. There's all types of activity. It's just a matter of controlling your range of motion and keeping your body alignment. And actually, you should really do a very large array of different exercises, because you want to strengthen yourself from all these different positions to protect from that hypermobility. Because that's, it's good to be mobile, but then when you have hypermobility, then you lose stability. So it can go too far. That's a great example. Yeah.
Because I was hoping age would stiffen me up, but it hasn't much.
Yeah. Yeah. No, strength training is where it's at. Yeah. And if you want a personalized solution to that, definitely should schedule for a semi-private session with me.
Okay, we'll do.
Awesome. Great.
Okay, thanks very much.
Connecting further. You're very welcome, Lindsay.
Yeah, thank you.
I love your accent, Lindsay. Where are you from?
I'm from lovely sunny Somerset in west of England.
Very beautiful accent.
Yeah, well, I'll be getting into the semi-private sessions and see if I can get some more hope. Just
awesome. Yes. Awesome.
Yay.
Wonderful. Yeah, I think I speak for all of us in the US here when I say we enjoy listening to the UK accent. Yeah.
Well, as I say, I will certainly take advantage of that session, because
awesome.
There is things going on, and one thing I don't do is I don't break bones easily. And I'm really tough on that. I've had some real bad accidents, but most people would break, but mine
right.
don't.
Yeah,
So,
your tissues just let you go every which direction.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks very much for your feedback, and I'll get on the VRP as soon as I'm done. Yeah.
Perfect.
I will drop the link right now, Lindsay.
Okay. Right.
Perfect. And Jillian? Jillian, did I pronounce your name correctly? Jillian?
Sorry, yes.
Wait. You're up, young lady.
I was diagnosed with spondylolisthesis of the L4 and 5 with severe spinal cord stenosis. So I have been doing a lot of I do a routine every day to strengthen the core muscles to take over the job of my spine, because it's not, but fortunately I can walk again. It was very difficult for a while, but strengthening the muscles in my spine have helped, retain my mobility. But some of those exercises you were doing obviously connect with that part of my spine, and I just, is it doing, I'm just saying, confused as to whether I'm supposed to strengthen those muscles or whether it's a different thing for me.
That's a really great question. And actually it's going to create a lot of help for not only yourself, but others as well. And that is, as we got into some of the exercises, saw some of the I feel my IT band, I feel some pain in my hip. Well, here's the thing, is that it kind of goes back to the first question and answer we had here today. And that is, you have kind of like a biological tipping point. So your IT band, or in that person's case, in your case, the spinal degeneration, there's a level of stress that your body is not going to agree with. So first of all, for the amount of stress, we have to go under the stress where there's like the tipping point, so to speak, right? So what does that really mean? What can you do with how can I give you more clarity? So for example, in the lunges or in the squats or in any exercise, you might start with very limited range of motion. You might start with doing, little 4 or 5 inch squats. You don't want to stay there forever, but then there's other floor exercises you can do that add less stress, that you can do larger ranges of motion. So the idea is as you bring in all the different exercises and you find your unique spot and position of load and stress that agrees with your body, you can create a comprehensive structure with shallow squats and other hip bridges from the floor and controlled motions, that it ends up making the squats go deeper, handle the positioning better. Because here's the thing also, is that to have really good body alignment and control your body alignment is not easy, especially when you've been moving another way, which is very likely what contributed to the spinal degeneration in the first place. So we have to unprogram all that motor control and then put you into proper body alignment. It's not that hard, or doesn't take that long, really. I mean, even within a few weeks, you can really start to untrain those patterns that got you there and start to train in new patterns. But your progress is going to be in learning body alignment. How should you hold your pelvis? How do you draw your abdomen in to add even more internal pressure to stabilize the spine? How do you control your hips to not be doing something funky so that it's torquing or twisting or misaligning the pelvis, right? What learning all of these things will then go back to keep your body in alignment. And yes, you do need to strengthen the tissues, because when you have spinal degeneration, as you do, and then we go on in more years, then you'll lose your tissue function, and eventually you won't really be able to move very well. So obviously we don't want that to happen. So learning body alignment and how to keep excess stress off your body while strengthening tissues is really, that is the answer. That is the answer. And I guarantee you there's an array of exercises that you can do that won't aggravate your issues. They won't aggravate, or very, very minimally. Yeah, you'll feel it because there's inflamed tissues there, but very minimally. So hopefully that gives you some type of direction in knowing that, yes, you should strengthen. Yes, you should work on that area. And like we went through today, it's very important to find where you have mobility deficiencies that are potentially also causing misalignment, that are adding to stress and pulling your body out of alignment while you're doing strength training. Because it's not just about form. One thing is to know the form and kind of how to keep your body in right alignment. But if you have restricted tissues that are restricted more on one side than the other, then that's going to pull you out of alignment, even if you know how to keep the alignment, because the structure and the the elastic tissue is pulling you more out of alignment, causing stress, right? So it's always a combination of becoming aligned with mobility first. That's the first thing. That's the first step. Do I have deficiencies? Is there issues there? Where are my deficiencies in addressing that? Second, learning how to strength train in such a way that there's alignment. And that works for everybody. We all approach this with different historical issues, with their back pain, hip pain, knee, foot issues, shoulder, whatever it might be. But we all go into the same thing the only difference is how much load and stress can we put on our body as we get into this process, right?
Right.
So,
Yep.
and I think, you know, for you as well, if not me, someone who's absolutely amazing at body alignment. So, Jillian, we do have these semi-private sessions, and I think it'd be a great idea for you as well. I can teach you exactly how to control all the alignment and create the mobility symmetry. So yeah, if you think that makes sense for you, I'd love to connect further.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome. Yeah, Mac, you're up, buddy.
Hey, thank you. Thank you so much. Well, my wife and I are really enjoying this. And what I have just a practical question. We want to do all of this correctly. And I was wondering if you could guide us on where can we get like one of those angle measurement tools, and what is it called? And the same thing for like the belt. You know, we don't have one of those belts. And maybe you could tell us like what would be some of those key, just little tools that will help us to make sure we're doing this properly and doing it well. Where can we get those, and what are they called?
So the measurement device, the mobility measurement device, is called a goniometer. It's GONIOMETER. It's goniometer.
Oh, goniometer. Okay.
Yeah. And then
that belt, that must be kind of like a special belt that's easy to adjust for whatever exercise you're using.
No, it's just some random belt I grabbed out of my closet, actually.
Oh, just that was just like
yeah. Because
okay.
my goal is, because everyone's doing this from home. We're approaching this from day one perspective, where, you know, I know that most don't have a bunch of equipment, so I'm only using stuff that's you know, in your closet, so to speak. So
okay.
So yeah, it was just a simple belt from.
Okay, well, if that works, we can try that.
Yeah. Yep.
And what about like that rubber, like a rubber band? What is that, and where do you get it, and what is it called, and what size? All of that do we need?
So that's I call it a power band. You can look at power elastic band. You can find those on Amazon. Or
and like how do you know which size to get? Aren't there different sizes?
Yeah, well, you should get an array of sizes depending on what exercise you're doing. So
okay.
Patty actually dropped a link for you too. Did you drop the link for our store? Yeah, so in our store you can get the band set, and it attaches to door anchors, and there's 5 different bands.
Okay.
So yeah, you should have a variety of exercise band resistance.
Okay. All right. Perfect. So that was just a practical question, but we're very excited about this. Both my wife and I are doing it while trying to take care of 2 little small children at the same time. So, but thank you. We're both very excited about it. We worked with a guy named Silas Barr. I don't know if you know that name, but he acknowledges you as his sort of key mentor. And so he helped get introduced to this idea, and we're so excited that you have a very structured approach to this that makes sense and that we can follow, and we want to maximize mobility and stability.
Yes, sir. Yeah, that's the route to fitness, you know.
Yeah.
Most people, they skip 1 through 7, step 1 through 7, and jump to 8. And what I mean by that is most people, okay, I'm going to get fit. Let's do fitness. Let's strength train. Let's do endurance. Yeah. Let's run. Well, okay, wait a second. I mean, think about it. Most people approach fitness as if they're a race car, but but they got a wheel sticking out like this, and then and a transmission that's about to fall apart, and they're gonna go out to the racetrack and run at 180 miles an hour. And it's like, no, they're gonna have some serious issues. So it's like, how do we take that vehicle and put everything in perfect alignment and make it very stable and durable to then drive well, right? And then you can get the healthful stress from exercise in a way that produces the best result. And that's really what it's all about. Yeah.
Well, and both my wife and I have been very active over the years, and we both have like sports injuries. So we need to recover from those and then, move from there.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'd love to have you guys as VIPs if you think that might make sense for you.
Yeah, we signed up for a private session. So
awesome. Cool.
Hope to see you a little later.
Thank you.
Fantastic. That's great.
Thank you. Thanks.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
And now we have to go because the next session will start, but you are all invited to our next session. We're going to do a repeat, and then the Q&A is obviously not going to be a repeat. It's going to be with all awesome new people and new questions, and you're all welcome to join. It's going to start in 15 minutes.
See you. Make it a great day, and I look forward to seeing you on Wednesday.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. And all of you, much love to all of you.
Yeah, God bless you.
Thank you. God bless you.
God bless you, friend, and your babies and your wife.
Thank you.
See you soon.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.